Hello everyone, it's I, Wacky Anime What If here to present you with What If Deku Had the Milf System, Chapter 4, The Reward. Let's go ahead and get into it. Currently, Izuku is looking down the dark alleyway as Eri is holding on to him for dear life. Izuku can feel her shaking and shivering as she looks him directly in the eyes and says, "Please don't let the bad man get me." She's crying. Izuku, seeing this, feels his heartstrings just hurt and ache. He feels as if they're being stirred as he stares her in the eyes and feels resolve. After all, he wants to be a hero, and there's someone in front of him that needs saving. He'll be the one to save her. As he looks towards the MILF system, which is absolutely flashing red in front of his face with the emergency quest, he sees that the reward is one S rank quirk or an S rank item. He sees the penalty is his and Eri's death. He has to survive, and he has to escape. Izuku has a determination and press the accept button as he hears the footsteps get louder and Overhaul step out of the alleyway. Immediately, Izuku, seeing Overhaul, feels chills down his spine as this is his first confrontation with a criminal. This is his first confrontation with someone who would murder him in an instant over the littlest thing. As Overhaul looks him in the eyes and sees Eri, Overhaul says, "You seem to have found my daughter. Can you go ahead and hand her over to me? After all, I was gonna take her to the doctor's, but she was scared of the needles." As Overhaul mentions needles, Eri remembers where the doctors that Overhaul would bring over would automatically stab needles into her skin and extract blood all the time. And when the doctors would sometimes inject different medications into her body, quote unquote medications, they are mostly used to enhance the effects of the serum Overhaul was making. The serum that he puts into the bullets that could erase quirks. And Eri is his key. He looks at Eri more possessively as he stares towards Izuku, who has not given Eri over. Izuku looks him in the eyes and automatically looks back at Eri, seeing her shiver, and then noticing that when Overhaul removed his left glove, that Eri's eyes were wide open as she screamed out, "Please don't hurt him." As Overhaul says, "No one has to get hurt, you just have to come over here, back to daddy." And as Overhaul says this, Izuku immediately starts to run with Eri. As Izuku starts to run, Overhaul starts running after him. He was going to use this quirk, but Izuku already ran directly away from the alleyway. And since there was people walking about, if he used his quirk, he could accidentally attract heroes, or it would be a bigger mess to clean up. And it could just attract more spotlight on him and his actions. So as he's running after Izuku, not using his quirk, putting on his back on his glove, Izuku is just looking at Eri as she's clinging onto him and saying, just let me go. I'll go back to him and you can go. You don't have to get hurt." While she's worrying for his well-being, Izuku is determined to save her as he sees a man in front of him who has red hair and a muscular physique and an intimidating aura that screams not to mess with him. Izuku thinks in his mind, "I'm so sorry, but I have to use the thunderclap to escape with Eri. And this may be awkward, but just know that this action saved a life." As he gets closer towards this man who is just munching on a burrito, minding his own business, this man was none other than Yujiro Hanma. And all of a sudden, Izuku, with his left hand that is not holding Eri, smacks Yujiro in the ass. And as Yujiro spits out his burrito, screaming, "What the fuck?" Izuku says, "Nice ass," and just turns into thunder with Eri and fucking zaps away. And as he does, Yujiro just turns around and does not see Izuku, just sees Overhaul there, and assumes that Overhaul was the one that smacked his ass. He says, "You got some balls on you." Yujiro says this as he walks closer towards fucking Overhaul. As Overhaul sees Yujiro, his heart sinks, as he knows who this man is, as he has taken on everyone in the top 10 pro heroes list, and he has won every fight, and he is bloodthirsty, and no one can do shit about him. The police even ignore if any crimes are involved with this man. Immediately, Overhaul just fucking gulps and fucking sweats bullets as he screams out, "It wasn't me, I swear! I swear it was not me, Yujiro. It was not me. It was some kid. He ended up having my daughter, and he ended up slapping you in the ass, and then he turned into lightning or thunder and just fucking zapped away." And as Overhaul was explaining this in a panicked mess, Yujiro just had the calmest face ever as he walked up towards Overhaul and whispered something in his ear that would terrify Overhaul. At first, he had hope, as Yujiro said, "I need you to do me a favor." Overhaul thinking maybe if he just does him a favor, then he will avoid this absolute ass whooping. And as Overhaul says, "What's the favor?" Yujiro merely smirks so fucking deviously and says, "I'm gonna need you to go ahead and deliver this to that kid," as he punches Overhaul directly in the stomach so hard he starts to vomit blood and fly fucking 10 meters away into a random cabbage cart owner's cabbage stand. And as he lands into it, the cabbage cart is destroyed. All the cabbages are also absolutely obliterated. The cabbage man is sad on the ground, holding his cabbages and screaming, "Why? They were so young!" As Yujiro just walks towards Overhaul, who is just vomiting on the ground still, even seeing some teeth falling out of his mouth. And immediately Overhaul just puts his hand towards his nose, noticing his nose was bleeding. He was like, "He only punched me in the stomach. How did I take damage to the face?" Immediately, Yujiro said, "Well, you didn't notice this, but I punched you 3 times. I punched you in the face, I punched you in the stomach, and I punched you in the dick. But the thing is, the 3rd punch was so fast that you didn't feel the pain until right now." And immediately Overhaul was about to say that he didn't feel the 3rd punch until he starts screaming, holding his balls, and saying, "My balls, why did you do this?" As Yujiro says, "Simple, I was testing out my new martial arts move. It's called the Nutcracker. All I have to do is punch a man in the balls." And immediately Overhaul starts fucking screaming, saying, "Leave me alone!" As Yujiro starts getting closer, more menacingly, he starts to say, "Hey, you know what my favorite lyric in a song was? It was when a man said, 'Stomp him in the nuts.' I'm about to stomp you in the nuts." Immediately, Yujiro gets right in front of Overhaul as he's still on the ground. He's begging and saying, "Please, don't do me like that." As Yujiro lifts up his foot and stomps down on Overhaul's balls, Overhaul is screaming in horror and is absolutely in excruciating and agonizing pain for a few hours until Yujiro gets so bored and just walks off without a care in the world. No one stops him. The police are there, but they just, as soon as they see Yujiro, they just walk away. They're like, "Nope, not dealing with him." Afterwards, Overhaul had to be taken into the extensive care unit and the hospital a few blocks away. And as he was taken away, the one person who caused this entire incident to happen, Izuku, was casually in the park with Eri, as this is where he ended up going to when he turned into Thunder and fled the scene. he ended up looking towards Eri and noticing that she's crying and she's very happy that she escaped. She's crying in joy, but Izuku just hugs her and Eri hugs back. Then she starts to cry for a different reason. She starts to cry because Izuku is showing her warmth that she's never felt in a long time. She hasn't felt this type of warmth since her father, who passed away. Immediately, she starts to cry and bawl her eyes out even more, as Izuku just comforts her and rubs her back, saying it's all gonna be fine. Then all of a sudden, the moment is ruined by the Milf system popping out in front of Izuku's face into existence, congratulating him for completing his quest and jump scaring the fuck out of him, causing Izuku to jump back, fall on his ass, and get laughed at by Eri, as he had the funniest face, as he said, "Stop doing that shit," as he looked towards the fucking system, and the system just says, "Well, I'll stop when it stops being funny," and immediately Izuku just says, "Why? Why do you do this?" And the system says, "Because it's amusing. But anyway, do you want your reward or not?" Izuku says, "Alright." And a wheel appears in front of him. As the system says, "Alright, go ahead and spin. You gotta spin for your reward. It could be a random item or ability from a different universe, world, anime, fiction, anywhere, really." While Izuku hears this, he spins the wheel, and all of a sudden he sees that it's spinning through many different items. You saw the Sharingan almost got picked, but it went to the one beside it, which was the Troll Hunter amulet. Izuku remembers watching the Troll Hunter, and it was a really good series. He enjoyed it a lot, and he was super ecstatic. He was like, "Do I get the power of the Troll Hunter? Do I get the medallion?" And he starts jumping up and down, super excited, fanboying, especially when the medallion just magically appears in his hand, and he stares at it, and starts to say, "So cool." He feels an urge to say the words that were engraved into it. But as he's about to say them, he notices that the system immediately gives him a notification saying, "Oh, I would like to inform you before you say that, well, there's an unintended consequence of receiving an item or power from another world. Some aspects of that world, or the entirety of it, it will be merged into your own." Meaning that Gunmar, any villain that was in the Troll Hunter series, Angorant, and all of them are now real, and the Troll Hunter series no longer exists in your world. Meaning that the characters are real, and you will have to deal with all of it as you are now the new Troll Hunter. Congratulations! Confetti just like pops around Izuku as the system did that just sarcastically. As Izuku just looks at the system screen and fucking screams out, "Fuck!" And then he hears the most menacing fucking footsteps behind him and hears deep ass breathing. And Eri, who's right beside Izuku, doesn't want to turn around. Neither of them do. And Izuku just looks towards Eri and says, "There's someone behind us, isn't there?" As Eri just looks at Izuku and says, "Yeah." Izuku says, could you turn around?" While Eri says, "No, you turn around, I don't wanna." Then all of a sudden, the man that's behind him, Bular, just says, "Enough of this foolishness. Hand me the amulet, and I will make your death swift." And as soon as he screams this, Izuku looks behind him just to see fucking Bular just about to grab him. And Eri, seeing this, screams, and that's when the what if ends. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did, make sure you smash that subscribe button and make sure you turn on the notification button so that you're informed of my next upload. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you all have wonderful days. So, see you all next time.